I want to talk to you about what the problem is with being a closer as a salesperson. And it's a big problem. People do not want to be, nor do they like to be closed. They don't respond well to pressure. Psychologically, our natural response when we feel pressure is to pull away. So what happens is when you as a salesperson put pressure on your prospects, they're going to pull away. And pulling away for clients sometimes looks different. They won't always just come out and say, hey, you know what? This doesn't feel good to me. I'm going to walk away, or now's not the right time. Some people may give you maybes. They may give you soft yeses. They may give you, negative feedback, but it's not quite a no. And then you end up extending the sales process for long, and you string yourself and the customer on, and ultimately it ends in no sale. Or if you do end in a sale, definitely is not an enjoyable process, and you may, particularly in real estate, increase your rate of fallout because someone makes a decision under pressure and they're not committed to that decision, and then they ultimately end up backing out of the deal, sometimes for reasons that seem trivial, but it can almost always be sourced back to them being pressured to make a decision when they didn't feel comfortable. So, okay, Eric, so what do you do? If the problem is that people don't want to be pressured, but as salespeople, we need to facilitate or make sales, what do we do? And what we teach and what is super valuable is it starts with understanding the psychology of how people work. And it's the basic concept of reverse psychology. And it's not that we teach to play mind tricks on anybody. It's just we understand how people respond to pressure. And then we specifically design a sales process and work with real estate salespeople to build scripts that enable them to move clients along through the sales process without applying pressure. Therefore, the client feels much more comfortable and they're able to be open and honest about their communication. One of the things we teach is that, there's a couple different categories that a sales prospect will put themselves in. It's no sale. Hey, listen, I'm not interested. No thanks. Then there's negative. Well, I'm not too sure it's the right fit. I don't think this is going to be good. Then there's neutral. Well, I think it might be okay, but I'm just not 100% sure. There's a lot of different things out there for me to choose from. Then there's positive. They're saying things that are positive, but they're not fully committed. Hey, this really looks good. I think this might work. And then there's sold. Hey, let's go write it up, right? So there's different phases of what we call the continuum that a client is in. And then what we teach as a salesperson is you always want to assume or confirm that they're one step behind what you believe or what they might even be saying they are. So if a customer says something neutral like, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, that you can apply today. So if someone sounds like they're a sale, right? A lot of times people are saying the right things and then we assume that they're ready to go. We get to the settlement table or we get to writing the sales contract and then issues pop up and ultimately the sale might go sideways. So by going one step back, or what we teach is going negative, would sound like this. Say a customer is saying things that sound like they're positive. Hey, you know what, Eric? I think this really might be a good fit. We're really excited about this house. It seems to check all the boxes, like this could be the one. So the natural tendency of a salesperson in today's market would be what? Hey, we really ought to push forward with this. Houses are getting multiple offers. This is the one. I would highly suggest we make an offer right now. And while that may work, what happens is again, you have to understand how most people will respond to pressure. They may have a tendency to pull back. So instead, what I would encourage and what we teach to do is to say, hey, Eric, you know what? Sounds like you're pretty excited about this one, but it just might not be 100% what you're looking to move on. And you know what? That's okay. We can continue to look. When we find the right one, most people are 100% confident they're ready to move forward. And the client will say something like, well, no. This is definitely the one. We're 100% in. Let's do it. Okay, so that's one option. And that's the way that people will respond, by you not applying pressure. But if we don't apply pressure, we can't just not communicate with the customer or have meaningful dialogue with them. We still are a salesperson. We have an obligation to help guide the customer through the decision. So the proven way that we teach and what works time and time again is to go negative or stay one step behind what your client is saying or what you feel their position is. So we'll say that again. A client gives you some positive feedback. I think this is the one. It really, seems to be super nice. It's within our budget, but they're not saying we're 100% in. Rather than pushing for the 100%, assume that they're neutral and goes, hey, it sounds like you might be on the fence. And you know what? That's okay. There's no pressure. Even in today's market, homes are selling quickly, but I tell you what, I'd rather you be 100% confident when you make a decision to buy a house than to rush into something like this that you might not be completely convinced is the right house and later on regret it. I wouldn't feel great about that. I'm sure you would eventually regret it, and it just wouldn't be a successful transaction as far as I'm concerned. So why don't we just take our time, and when the right time comes along, I'm sure you'll know it. Now, here's the other part. If they were saying those positive things and you pushed for a sale and they weren't quite ready, they're definitely gonna raise their hand at some point, and the deal's gonna blow up. Or they may have been saying all of those positive things and not been 100% ready, and now you've clarified. They're gonna go, you know what, Eric, you're right. We really like it, but I feel like we should look at 2 or 3 other homes just to get an idea of what's out there. I don't want to move too quickly. Now, at that point, you can move into why it may or may not be the right home for them, but you always want to go one step behind and clarify. That'll help you get a better feel for what the client's motivation is, whether or not they're fully committed or where they are in the decision-making process, and keep you from applying pressure or making people feel pressure. Go negative, go one step back, take the pressure off of your clients and give them the right to say no. That's the problem with most of our sales processes and most salespeople, is we make them feel terrible, or we don't give them this sort of safe place where they can say no. And if you've done any sales training, or if you've been a salesperson for quite a bit of time, getting a no is actually the best thing to help us get to a yes. So we teach you how to get no's, which will ultimately lead you to a confident yes that will solidify a sale, and everybody will feel better about the transaction. Hope this was helpful. Have a great week, and we'll see you all soon.